Folks, there's been some big changes in York Region home prices. I'll explain what I mean and then get into the latest home prices and insights for York Region for week ending August 27, 2025. If you want to speak directly with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, when I talk about York Region, look, York Region covers a vast area, but specifically I'm referring to the three big cities, Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham. Those are the cities I'm really focused on and referring to. And when I talk about home price changes, there's been some big changes. And sure, we can go back to the peak and calculate the percentages to now, but let's just focus on this year. There are many potential sellers we spoke with the first half of the year and talked to them about selling their homes, and they wanted a number as to what their home would sell for then, and I've kind of contemplated it and have spoken to me again during the summer and said, look, we're almost ready. What do you think my house is worth now? It's not the same number. It is lower than what we spoke to them about at the beginning of the year. One such seller, potential seller that I recently got off the phone with, back in the beginning of the year, price was around 1.8 for their home. It's now 1.5. There's a $300,000 difference in price. So if you're a seller, this year has not been a year of great news for you. The longer you waited, the lower the price for your home was. Now, if you're a buyer, the opposite is true, but in a good way. The longer you waited, the lower prices were. And for sure, there's going to be many buyers out there that are still thinking the price isn't low enough, and absolutely that's your prerogative to decide whether it makes sense for you or not, that this is a time to buy or not. That's your call. But here's where we are, and now we're heading into the fall season. I could tell you, sellers that I'm speaking with are really hoping this fall season sees a reversal of price depreciation to price appreciation. They're really looking for the fall to kind of save them a little bit, especially if they've already been on the market over the summer and now have pulled their properties and they're going to come back onto the market in the fall. They're expecting more money. Don't be surprised if you saw a property listed at one price come off the market only to be relisted at a higher price this fall, because that's what a lot of sellers have as far as expectations for the fall market. And buyers, they're thinking the opposite. Buyers are thinking that there's going to be a lot more listings coming back onto the market. And if the seller didn't sell over the summer months, well, they've got one last shot before the winter rolls around. And this fall market could be a potential of further price depreciation. So it depends on your perspective. It depends on whether you're selling or buying, how you're looking at things. But expectations are what they are. It doesn't mean it's reality. And we will be showing you on this channel every single week the reality of what's actually happening. But you tell me in the comments below, what are your expectations for this fall market across York Region? What are your expectations with prices, activity? Where do you think we're headed? If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. And if you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. Now, let's get into the numbers. Here we go, folks. York Region for the last week of August, week ending August 27th. We're going to be focused on detached properties only for Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham. Here's all three put together. Average sold prices are pretty similar, actually. We're going to start off with Vaughan for week ending August 27. 33 detached properties were sold, 5 sold at $2 million or more, which I got to say is a little bit crazy. And I've been saying this in some of our other videos. Normally we expect August activity to kind of wind down and then pick up again in the fall. That's what we expect. We see it most years like that. Not this August, and not for the city of Toronto, not for Vaughan either. Sales for August went from 20 at the end of July to 23 to 28, down to 20, then back up to 33. The last week of August, we saw the most amount of sales. And 5 of those sold at $2 million or more. Average sold price is sitting at $1,643,000. 1,643 is 2% higher than the same week a year ago. The median price of $1,501,000 is 1% higher than the same week a year ago. The dotted line, that's a 4-week moving average. Over the last little while, average prices have been trending downward. 33 were sold, 5 of those, so 15% sold at list price or more. We have seen fewer listings. We're also seeing fewer active listings. Now, I can tell you, and it's not just for Vaughan, for most areas, active listings have been trending down for a while. It's not because those properties are all being sold. Come the end of the summer, come August, many of the listings naturally expire at the end of August. So people that sellers that put their properties up for sale in the spring or beginning of summer tend to set an expiry date for the end of August. So a lot of them will naturally expire, so they'll come off the market. And many sellers have also pulled their properties off the market come August when very few showings. Also, they may be going on holidays and they don't want, their home being on the market while they're away. So come August, lots of properties do come off the market. We do expect a lot of these properties to come back on the market in the fall. Months of inventory for Vaughan, sitting at 4.2 months of inventory. So fewer active listings plus more sales than we normally have seen brings months of inventory down to 4.2. That's Vaughan. Here's Richmond Hill. For week ending August 27, 22 detached properties were sold. 4 of those sold at $2 million or more. So we're following a similar pattern to what we saw in Vaughan, meaning the last couple of weeks of August, we've seen sales higher than what we've seen the previous few months. But if we look at the whole summer, say July and August, when we look at sales there, and we look at the previous whole year for Richmond Hill, July and August sales have been higher on average than what we've seen week after week the whole year prior to the summer, which is unusual because the spring market, the beginning of the year in the spring, is normally when we see more sales. Summer sales tend to kind of taper down. Not the case for Richmond Hill. Average sold price, however, has been trending down. Currently, we're sitting at $1,613,000. 1,613 is 18% lower than the same week a year ago. The median price of 1,548 is also 18% lower year over year. 22 were sold. 5 of those, so 23% sold at list price or more. We've seen more listings. Listings have increased the last week of August, which is unusual. We normally don't see that. Are these sellers trying to get a jump on the listings that we're going to see coming up in the fall? Maybe. Kind of looks like that. Active listings, not by a lot, but we do see it. That's actually kind of flat, active listings in Richmond Hill. In most areas, we're seeing active listings come down. Not so much in Richmond Hill. Months of inventory sitting in a buyer's market area of 6.1 months of inventory. Here's Markham. 19 detached properties were sold. 3 of those sold at $2 million or more. Yes, fewer sales, but not a big drop. Average sold price is $1,648,000. 1,648 is 2% higher than the same week a year ago. The median price of 1,524 is 12% lower than the same week a year ago. 19 were sold, 6 of those sold, 32% sold at list price or more. 57 were listed. 484 are the amount of active listings, which is not a big change from the previous few months. Months of inventory, a little higher, sitting at 5.9 months of inventory. Here's a quick summary. You're going to experience pretty much either a buyer's market or a balanced market, depending on the neighborhood, depending on the price point. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.